He literally walked out of the woods and goes, I love you, and you're dysfunctional in your family. Yeesh. Creepy, kinda. Who are you? Okie dokie. Artichokes. I told myself if I talked about this book for a half hour, little book review, not my normal content, but I've read this book, I want to talk about this book. I have to return this book to the library very soon, so you might as well talk about it. If I do that, if I yakety yak yap yap talk about this book for a half hour, I get to go make myself a delicious cup of coffee, and I'm looking very much forward to it. And I'm very much looking forward to it. I much to it look forward, I do. Let's see if I can make a coherent sentence out of this book. The book is called Rachel Weiss's Group Chat by Lauren Appelbaum. The front cover features two people. You're assuming the love interest, right? And it says group chat, so they're both on their phone. And I thought they were on two like lawn chairs, but really it's like 4 different text bubbles because it's a group chat. That is kind of cute. I noticed that like 100 pages in. I closed the book one day. I go, oh, it's a group chat. Love that. And then whoever put a little quote on the front of the book, it just says hilarious. And let me tell you, I did not find the book that funny. I read this book. I saw this book on the shelf of a library. I didn't do any research. No one told me to read it. I picked it up off the shelf, thought it looked interesting. The back blurb looked, pretty decent. I thought it was going to be a rom-com type of book, which is what I like. If you like the book, that's your opinion. This is my opinion. I give the book a 2 out of 5. It wasn't really funny. Wasn't really romantic. It was just like following a girl around for a couple of weeks, a month. I don't even know the timeline. We just like followed her chaotically around her life for a couple of months. She's had more scandal in a couple of months in her life than I've had in my whole life. I'm going to quickly tell you the summary synopsis of the book. I only remember about 75% of it, because this is very generalized, and then we'll talk about some of the characters, what I liked, what I disliked, and then we're going to read a part of the book, a part that I actually liked. Let's do it! Okay, basically this book, which I didn't know until after I read the book and looked at reviews, and I looked on Reddit threads to see if anybody else had read this book and what their thoughts were, to see if like I was crazy and I didn't really like it. Other people online and anybody reviewing this book said that this book is actually like a modern day Jewish retelling of the story of Pride and Prejudice, which if I knew that going into the book, maybe I would like it a little bit more, because the perspective of like two people falling for each other, but like they're in like different tax brackets, and he's like a rich guy and she is like what I'm assuming is upper middle class, but for some reason they paint her as like poor. When I was looking for the chapter that I want to read to you guys, I'm pretty sure it said that the mom was a stay-at-home mom, which okay, and then her dad in the book is like an aerospace engineer. Are you guys the poorest people on the block? I don't know about that. Anyways, because Pride and Prejudice is about like the rich guy and then like the normal girl. If I had known that this was supposed to be like a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, a modern day Jewish version, and that's what everyone's saying online. I didn't even realize the Jewish thing. She might have said that like they were Jewish in the book. I didn't even realize. That was not like a front-facing fact to me. I think they might have mentioned it once. But I just thought it was like a funny rom-com book of two people, any two people. So we have Rachel. She's either 30, newly 30, or about to turn 30. She's somewhere around 30. She has a group chat with her friends. We only meet her friends a couple of times in the book, but they'll like randomly update each other in the group chat of what's going on with them. Right off the bat, she has like, they talk about her mom. Her mom is like this neurotic, overdramatic, overbearing person, and to me she seems like a very bad person. Now I don't know, I feel like people online, when I was reading other people's retelling of the story or whatever, their critiques, they were saying like, oh, it's like such a stereotypical Jewish mother, or like that's like such an overbearing mother. Like, some people actually have those in real life. The way that her mom talks to her in this book is like so bluntly distressing. It sounds like her mom is always in the middle of like a bipolar panic attack. Like both of those. Like I'm like, who is this? Who is your mom? Her and her mom in this book rarely have like a normal, even keeled conversation. It always ends in like hysterics, and like her mom is like all over the place. I guess I've never experienced that, nor do I care to read about it in the book. Right off the bat, I find her mom very like annoying, and I feel like her mom is like a bad person the way that she talks to her daughter. Her mom is like always like going at her and going after her. In the book, her mom's number one goal is just to marry off all of her daughters. So the main girl in the book, Rachel, she has a mom and a dad. The dad is like very quiet and aloof the whole book. It's like, why is he even around? I don't know. She also has these 2 younger twin sisters, and they literally write these characters like they have brain rot. Like they have the Gen Z stare and they have brain rot, and they're on their phone their whole time. She writes these characters, the two younger twins, like they couldn't together speak a coherent sentence. The way that they wrote them, I was like, oh, I feel like they're dumb beyond belief. That's crazy. And then she has an older sister named Jane, and Jane works as like for like a news station or like an investigative report or something like that. And her sister Jane has a boyfriend named Owen, and throughout the book they get engaged. So there's that. Her mom is trying to set her up with the rich guy next door. So I think the book basically starts with they live in this neighborhood, who knows where they live, and next door a very rich family moved in. enough that like I think the son is like in headlines or something. Somehow the mom knows that the next door neighbors are like very rich. The son's even more rich. The son bought the house for the parents next door. That's how rich he is. He's like in his 30s, but he's so rich and has so much money that he bought his parents. Not only did he buy his house, he bought his own parents, their own house in their 30s, right next door to these people. So the mom immediately is like, we're going to have a family dinner. We're going to invite the new neighbors over. And you're going to fall in love with this man named Christopher, Rachel, because I need you to get married and stop your little shenanigans and stop being a person. And I just need you to be a wife. That's what I need from you. That's the vibe you get right off the bat. So they go to this dinner and it doesn't go very well. Rachel has this like free spirit about her where obviously she's going to be stubborn and push away from how overbearing her mom is. And like her mom doesn't understand her at all, nor does her mom give her any leeway in life to like just be a person and have like messy phases of life. But of course, Rachel meets this guy, Christopher. I don't even remember them first meeting. You can tell he was going to be charming and very polite off the bat. And she kind of was like I think she went after him she realized that he's like a tech bro. She thought right off the bat he was like a tech bro, and she like went after him for like being rich, and she like accused him of like not using his money in a way that like donates or benefits other people. She just like went after him. She's like, he's just like one of these tech bros, these millionaire tech bros. He's probably so full of himself. You don't get that vibe from him at all right off the bat. So this Rachel girl just like mouths off to him. Then there's like the dinner. It doesn't go well. The mom freaks out because she's like, you completely ruined dinner. Yada, 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 you know, whatever. Rachel's always doing something completely wrong. And then after that, we kind of bounce around to see we meet some of her friends. So Rachel has one friend. Her name's, I think it's Sumira. I think that's right. She works, I don't even know where she works. A lot about this book is I feel like we get so much of the POV of Rachel and know so many useless things about her that we never learn anything of substance about any other character. That's like a beef I have with the book. I can't even remember her two other friends' names because the only time their names pop up is like they put in the book like text blurbs from their group chat, which is kind of a fun way to break up a page. But I don't remember any of their names. Only Sumira is like a character that stands out to me because of later. She works in some type of like corporate job place because she has to go to a holiday party and Rachel goes with her like as her date, and we'll get to that in a second. She has another friend who's gay, and throughout like the first half of the book she keeps trying to ask out like girls from like her hobbies, like the classes she takes, and everyone keeps turning her down or like ghosting her. The other girl is married to a guy that we never meet, and apparently like their relationship is like on the rocks, and she really wants like a dog or a cat. They're like, yeah, like every time they talk about her husband, he is like annoyed with her existence. So that's fun. So you get like a little bit of like the antics of the group chat. Rachel keeps running into the Christopher guy throughout the first half of the book because they go to this dinner. They have the dinner at the parents' house, right? And then as Rachel is leaving to go home for the night, she hears Christopher's parents, the new next door neighbors, talking crap about her family after they just left a dinner at their house. They're like, yeah, they're a little, I don't even know what words they use. I don't know if it was odd or like high strung or whatever. They weren't like, oh, ew, they're poor. But it was like, oh, these people are like kind of all over the place. And Rachel overheard that. And Christopher knew that she overheard his parents talking crap about them. So then because he works in like tech or finance, and Rachel works as like an IT person, I believe. I think she like answers people's calls or questions like in IT. Again, so much useless information that I can't even remember like the main plot points of like exactly where she works. Some sort of job that she doesn't even like. Christopher keeps like running into her because they both go to this like tech party conference thing, whatever, and she kind of like she gets like drunk at her table and like mouths off a bunch of stuff about like, oh, we should be, I don't know, saving our money or giving our money, something. She mouths off and Christopher sees her at the bar and they kind of talk. They keep running into each other throughout the book. Another beef with this book is like they literally don't even get together as a couple until like the last 2 pages, and we don't even get to see them like be a couple together. They just keep running into each other and they're very like snappy and like sarcastic and cute, and like the banter is kind of there, which I love, but we never even get to see them hang out and like be a couple. We just get to see them like keep running into each other and they just have like a solid conversation and then they both dip. But eventually Christopher and her like exchange numbers, and they don't exchange numbers. They follow each other on Instagram, and he always responds to her Instagram story. I honestly, maybe it's because I'm not Miss Hot Commodity Supermodel over here. I don't have people answer my Instagram stories. I've never had a man swipe up on an Instagram story and been like, hey, smiley face, blah, blah, blah. I don't understand how that happens to so many people. I think that's like so oddball. Like that's like a new wave of flirting ever since Instagram was invented. The swipe up on the story way of flirting. I'd be like, I didn't post this for you, but a lot of people do. I digress. Whatever. The two main characters, the love interests of the book, they don't even hang out. They just occasionally talk to each other on Instagram. Rachel goes to Sumira's Christmas work party. Was it a Christmas work party? whatever. It's a work party. And she ends up meeting this guy. I don't know his name either. She ends up meeting this guy at the party. He is like kind of full of himself, whatever. And they kind of hit it off and like are a little flirty. And they start like seeing each other, but not exclusively. And we're like Elle and Rachel's thoughts about how she wants to talk to him more or whatever. Okay, and then like throughout the book, this group chat that she's in also becomes like distant. It's these 4 girls and they become like, everyone's like going through something in their life where like Rachel's like seeing this guy, but they're not exclusive. And the Sumira girl like kind of stopped answering everyone's like text messages after this like holiday party. She like distanced herself. And then the other girl is like, the one that's like gay and she's sad. Like she's like kind of like mopey, and the other one's in a relationship that's not going well. So she's kind of mopey too. Like real life stuff. But I'm like, unless the group chat is like popping off fun quick reads, I don't really care. But the one girl is so sad that she can never get a date. So they decide to take her out on like a night out on the town. And they're trying to like get her a date or get someone to like hit on her. So it's not going well. The girl has like really bad confidence. So while they're in the bathroom trying to give her a pep talk, they're like, oh my gosh, Christopher is the one that helped Rachel with a pep talk, or like helped her take a picture at that one work event, and gave her like the confidence to go talk to that one guy that she met at the other Christmas party. So Christopher's really good with advice. So message him on Instagram right now at like 11 p.m. at night at the club and ask him what he should do to get a girl to hit on our friend. Okay, and he responds right away. He just got the phone attached at the hip, apparently. So rich and yet so connected to the phone still. So that happens. And then they're at this club. Like all the girls are at this club. The 3 of them. Not that Sumira girl, because she's been distancing herself. So they're at the club. And the one girl does get hit on. The advice works. And then the other 2 girls are standing there. And Rachel invites the guy that she's like kind of seeing from that work party. He shows up. You know what? My scenes might be out of order, but let me just get through the rest of the book. So they're like at a night out, and she invites the guy that she's been seeing, and he finally meets her friends, and it goes kind of well, but then the guy that she's seeing runs into like some old guys from work, and he starts acting weird. Then he just like abruptly leaves. They go to the dance floor and he just like abruptly leaves. And she's like, oh shoot, like that might have been a little like not good timing to like, we're having a girls' night and I like invited the guy that I'm seeing to the girls' night thing. And then also her friend that's in like the marriage that isn't going well, she like abruptly left too. She was like, yeah, I'm not feeling it, I have to leave. So then all of a sudden like Rachel's like by herself at like the girls' night thing. Now, I think I skipped a scene where there was a wedding. There was a wedding that Rachel and the guy that she's seeing went to together, and they went to each other as each other's dates, and she accidentally introduced him as her boyfriend. And then he was like, I don't have a problem with that. And I think they were like, okay, now we're like officially boyfriend, girlfriend. At that wedding, they run into Christopher, and he's there with a date. And Rachel and him are talking, and then their dates walk up. And for some reason, Christopher, the rich guy in the book, knows the guy that Rachel's now dating. Of course he does. Of course they're all tied together. So the bros are acting really weird. And her new boyfriend like talks to her at the table, and she's like, or talks to her like in the bushes. I don't know. They're like somehow talking in the bushes, and he's like, listen, I knew that guy from college, and the only reason that Christopher guy is so rich and owns his own company is because we came up with an idea for that company in college, and then he stole it from me and started the company and didn't give me any of the money or any of the credit for that. This is Rachel, the main girl's new boyfriend, is saying like, Christopher, your love interest in the book that your mom really wants to marry, the really nice rich guy that you never gave a chance, he's actually a really bad guy. Because he stole my company idea. Now he's like rich and famous and like buys houses whenever he wants to. Okay. So then she kind of like distanced herself from Christopher, and she's like, not only is Christopher rich, and he like doesn't give his money to the poor all the time, which we don't even know if he does that or not. Then she's like, plus he stole this idea. I think that was a thing. And then they had like the girls' night, and and then that's when the new boyfriend showed up, and then he was acting weird because he saw some more bros like at the club, and then he abruptly left because then he started like distancing himself from Rachel. And she's like, why are you acting weird? You like left. I invited you out to the girls' night, which wasn't the best idea. And then you showed up, you met my friends, we're having a good time. Then you left abruptly, and now you like don't want to hang out with me anymore. So I think those 2 scenes were flipped. In the meantime, her sister does get engaged. Rachel has a sister, older sister Jane, the news reporter. Her boyfriend, now fiance Owen, he's my favorite character in the book. You would think it's the main girl? No. You would think it's like any of the girls in the group chat, because I always am like the biggest fan of like the sidekick, the best friend of the main character in any book or movie. No. Everyone kind of annoyed me and I didn't care about them and I wasn't rooting for them. My favorite person was Owen. My favorite person was the main character's older sister boyfriend, now fiance. Out of all the men in the book, I also liked him the best. The Owen guy seems funny. He is like dating Jane, and every single time the mom has like these weird antics, he like seems to be like 2 steps ahead of her. The mom is like crazy to be like, he's like, when is he gonna propose? Blah blah blah. Like it's all about the mom. the mom sends Rachel, this is how neurotic she is, the mom sends Rachel over to the sister's house to go snoop on Owen to see if he like bought a ring or is going to propose soon. And he's 3 steps ahead. Rachel goes to the bathroom in the middle of dinner, and then she slams into the wall, the medicine cabinet or something, and a bunch of stuff falls, and Owen is like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, nothing. And he's like, that's not where I put the ring. And then he tells her that they're going to get engaged. So like Owen is dating one of the girls in the family. And guess what? Like, he understands the family. He sees the mom, clocks her from a mile away and goes, oh, you're that type of mom. And guess what? I love your daughter. I'm going to put up with you as a mother-in-law, but like, I'm just going to be 3 steps ahead of you. And I'm going to keep just to myself, and I'm just going to whatever. So I know more about Owen and his character and his actions more than Chris, more than the main character guy. I swear. There's no character development in this book of anybody. And Rachel's character development is like a damn roller coaster. And I'm not even sure at the end if we're on the upswing or the downswing. So then after that, like, where are the friends at? The Sumira girl is now like never goes to any of the hangouts. She's been so distant from the group. The girl that couldn't get a date with any of the other girls met a girl at the club and now is like in a relationship, so that one's all patched up. And then the girl that's in the marriage, her and her husband barely even speak to each other, and they're so down in the dumps that you're like, are you guys just gonna get divorced? Like, what are we doing? Are you just gonna get divorced? So that's all happening. And then in Rachel's world, Rachel gets broken up with the guy, with that one guy, the boyfriend. I don't even know his name. Brennan, Thomas. His name's gotta be in here somewhere. Steven? I think it's Steven. It's Steven. Literally his name right on there. Steven, is there something? The blare of the music. Parade's starting. Oh, this is literally the page they get broken up with. It's complicated because they break up because Steven goes, oh, I met a woman while we were dating and I'm in love with her. I love her. It took me forever to say yes to being your boyfriend, but I love her and I can't be with you anymore. So she gets broken up with. Rachel gets broken up with, and she like goes on a little bit of a tangent and whatever. And she's like, great, I'm going to be a better person without you and blah, blah, blah. And at some point after she gets broken up with, the girl that's in the bad marriage, she's becoming really distant, and Rachel's like, what the hell is going on? How come all my friends, like, we never see each other anymore? She's like, is this just like 30s? Everyone that you were like friends with forever and ever, like, you're no longer friends with, everyone's just like distancing because they have their own lives, which I can relate to that. I can 100% relate to that. I've become very distant from some of my friends because we just all have different lives and we're all so busy. It happens. I don't know what to tell you. Everyone's busy. But if you have the type of friends you can just bounce back, voila. Anyways, enough about me. She finally goes to talk to the one friend that's in the bad marriage because she's like, you've been dodging me. I just got broken up with. I would love to hang out with you. And they go and get coffee or something. And the one that's in the bad marriage, she tells Rachel that she cheated on her husband with Rachel's boyfriend while they were dating. And you're like, what? This is a crazy turn of events in the book. This must be like the big reveal. No. Rachel has already been going through the breakup, and she goes, you cheated on your husband, which it completely gets glossed over. Completely. I don't care if the relationship is bad. Just get a divorce. Just break up. Just be separated. To cheat on your husband? Interesting. And then she cheats on her husband with her friend's boyfriend. Apparently the night that they went and did that girls' night and Rachel's boyfriend showed up at the club for a hot minute, he was making googly eyes at her. Oh, and she's a teacher. He was making googly eyes at her teacher friend that's in the bad marriage the whole time. So then they left to go cheat on each other. This is one of my biggest pet peeves with the book. When I read this jaw drop moment, I like paused reading and I was like, oh my God, she cheated? Not only is she in a bad marriage, but when she turns to her friends for help and advice, she cheated on her own husband with one of her friend's boyfriends, and that caused a breakup. And now like that guy's in love with her, and he never shows up back in the picture ever. Rachel has already been going through the breakup, and she has like this revelation where she doesn't need that man anymore, and blah blah blah. And she's actually like kind of interested in Christopher at this point, and she just kind of goes like, oh well, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. That's all water on the bridge. Let's let bygones be bygones. She's not, they didn't even write a chapter where she's mad at her friend for cheating on nothing. They don't hold her friend accountable for cheating on her husband. She doesn't give two shits. I'm like, she literally cheated. Like, she literally left you at the club. Your boyfriend and your friend left you at the club to go cheat right in front of your face. You're not upset by that? Oh my God. I would be so upset for so many reasons and so justified. You would never hear the end of it. I don't think we'd be friends anymore. I would have met back up with that guy for coffee and then ripped him a new one. They gloss over it so fast in this book that I almost stopped reading. I almost stopped reading the book right there. That was almost the freaking straw that broke the camel's back because I was like, she's not upset at all. There's not a chill person in the world that isn't just at least a little upset, needs a little time to process. Like, what did you just say? What did you just say? It was one of the dumbest plot points in the whole book, I think. Just nobody cared. Everyone moved on. Even later on in the book, when they keep talking about Steven, they like bring him up randomly. The one girl that did the cheating, she goes, can we just not talk about Steven? Because they're, no, if Rachel doesn't want to talk about Steven, then she doesn't have to talk about Steven. If I can't talk about my ex-boyfriend because you're the one that cheated on him with you or whatever, oh my gosh, I talk about him all the time. Because I'm allowed to. I'm the one that officially dated him. I'm not the one that went behind my husband's back to cheat on him with. They just gloss over that. They don't hold anybody accountable for anything in this book. They really don't. So then Rachel's like still in the midst of a breakup. Her friends are all over the place. And her family decides to go on a trip to a cabin, like a cabin in the woods. They must do it every year or something. I don't know. And they decide to go like river tubing, which is something I love to do. This was such a random part of the book, which I was like, this is a great, fun, real life activity that I feel like is never in books. They go river tubing, and it's Owen and Jane, her older sister and the boyfriend, Rachel, who's like already in a bad mood, and then the two twins. They're all like in these tubes and everything. Apparently the twins, who are underage, are drinking alcohol the whole time, and they're like getting drunk on the tubes right in front of the sister, and she's not even noticing because the sister's a little more straight-laced. They also find out that Christopher and his parents are staying in a cabin in the same vicinity. They keep running into each other too many times. It's too coincidental. Why, if your family is so rich, so much money flowing out of your pockets, why did you buy a house in the same neighborhood as his family? Because they keep like bringing up in our face during this book that like it seems like Rachel's family is poor, even though the dad is an aerospace engineer, even though it seems like the house they're talking about is like a nice house with like a front porch, and somehow they are able to afford to live next door to a super rich family, like in the same exact neighborhood. I'm like, okay, where's the property line? Where's the divide? Right there. Interesting. Like they run into each other too much for being from two different social classes, tax brackets, different type of friends, people. Oh, we're just vacationing in the same spots. It just happens to be like a cabin in the woods. What? Close enough that Christopher brings her cookies. So here's why he brings her cookies. They go in this river tubing thing, and the sisters are getting drunk. And at one point, they're trying to go to like a different divide in the river, and the two like twins like fall out of the tube. So the current is moving so fast that Rachel always also has to jump out and save the twins in the tube, and then she can't do it on her own, and like the tubes are about to float down the river, and there's like this whole thing. It's like someone might drown sort of vibe. Christopher happens to be tubing with his family. I've never known the uber rich, the millionaires of the world, to go river tubing. You know what I'm talking about? Like, oh, his snooty tooty parents are going river tubing. I don't believe that for a second, but he just happens to be in a tube 50 feet away. So then he jumps out and saves everybody and throws Rachel back onto her tube like a drowned rat. So now he knows that she's at that she's also cabining and vacationing near as well. So then he brings her over cookies because he's like, I just saved your life. You look like a drowned little poodle, and I put you back on your tube, girly pop. What you doing here? Okay, the rest of the book feels like a fever dream of behaviors where you're like, what is this and who cares? And like, it feels exhausting reading this book to try and keep up with these people that I don't care about. It feels like a friend that's like so fluttery and like in the wind all the time that it's like, oh my, it's so annoying to keep up with you and your dramatics. So at the cabin, realize how I've been talking about the whole book. I never really talk about Christopher and Rachel like even really talking or hanging out, because they don't. They message each other on Instagram story and then run into each other at like family functions. They go this river tubing thing. Christopher saves them, and as they're back at the cabin, doesn't even have time to change. She's like standing there like in her bathing suit, like, you know when you go swimming and your hair's like in a knot? Yeah, she's just like standing there on the front porch, bathing suit, just got out of the car, towel wrapped around her, whatever. Christopher walks out of the woods and goes, Rachel, can I talk to you? And basically goes, hey, are you still dating Steven? And she's like, no, we broke up. And then he just like confesses his love for her. He just confesses his love for her, not his like of her, not his interest in her, just confesses his love for her. Goes, oh, I love you so much. And I talked about this in the Sips and Spills episode. So on the Patreon, I have a goober tier of my Patreon. On the Sips and Spills episode, I said I was reading this book, and I just pointed out this little blip of what happened in the book. And he not only tells her that he like likes her and has interest in her, and like, hey, you kind of wrote me off at the beginning because like I think your mom wanted me to date you, and I'm like, basically I've been in love with you for like forever. Meanwhile, they've never hung out. They don't even have each other's numbers, I don't think. You don't know anything about him. She seems all over the place. You know, she just got broken up with. So, but he also like says I love you in a way that like completely like disses her. The first time I read it and he got to finish, you know, his little speech, I go, oh my gosh, he's basically saying like that he really likes her for who she is, that she's not perfect and she's wacky and she's, you know, like she's her own person and blah, but she's always like doing such fun things, and he like likes that about her. And then she turns around and goes, hey, so you basically just told me that I am not like the every woman. I am like not like prim and proper and cute and a supermodel. And every time you see me, you're like saving me from drowning in a lake because my sisters got drunk and fell out of a tube. And, I'm at that work party and I'm shouting off stuff, yelling about the environment. And then and then you like, your parents talked crap about my parents because we're like poor. They keep bringing up money. Oh, because we're poor. Are you though? And she basically goes, you just said that you liked me in like the rudest way possible, and I don't appreciate that, and you just made me feel bad about myself. Like this did not feel like a great talk, a great speech, a great sharing of feelings. So she like basically is like, F off, I hate you, whatever. And then he gets like super embarrassed. He's like, I did not say that right. And we're like, Christopher, we don't even know how you talk. You might just be walking around professing your love for everybody. We don't know anything about you, bro. And then she goes back to hang out with her family and she tells her sister all about it. And they're like, oh yeah, that's tough. That's going to be a hard one. And she like basically tells the mom to back off the whole time. Every single time anything happens, anytime the mom and the Rachel are in the same, the Rachel are in the same room, the mom is just like telling her how she's like a disappointment and she has no idea what she had to sacrifice, just to have, all of their, daughters married off, and how like she's always a disappointment and like can never like get her life together and everything like that. And you're like, wow, this is, what a great pep talk. What a great mom. What a great, gosh, I don't even know why you went on the family vacation in the first place. So then Rachel, now annoyed with Chris and broken up with by the other guy, Stefan, whatever. She like decides to like change her life. She's like, I don't need men anymore. I'm going to volunteer more. I'm going to volunteer. She volunteers at a library and teaches old people how to use technology. She's like, I'm going to be vegan. And then she goes, never mind. The vegan thing lasted like 2 days. Just like over stretches and over analyzes like that she's going to change her whole life around. She's going to be a totally different person so that this stuff doesn't happen to her anymore. I'm like, this stuff doesn't happen to anybody. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh yeah. Then like she sees her, then like Rachel's on a bus one night. Like, I don't know. She doesn't have a car because they're poor, remember? So, okay, let me get this very clear. I am not saying anything about being poor and not having money, or like what amount of money makes you not poor. I'm not saying any of that, but they keep bringing up, I wish I could tell you every single time that she brings up in this book how Christopher is very rich and has all this money and she's poor, even though it seems like her family really isn't poor. Like she doesn't go like, yeah, and we're like middle class. She literally just like, they just make it seem like they're dirt poor and he has so much money, even though it sounds like she lives a pretty comfortable life. So that's why I keep over exaggerating and making fun of it, because it seems she makes it seem very black and white. She's on the bus one night and Rachel runs into her ex-boyfriend. We get like a blip of a chapter of an ex-boyfriend. He goes back to her apartment, realizes that she doesn't want to be there because she actually has feelings for Christopher, even though she's mad at him. And then she like jumps out of a window and breaks her ankle or something. That was a whole chapter. It's very random. It was fun to read, but it didn't matter. There's like a couple chapters, or so I think it's supposed to be like over a couple of months, where like she's mad at Christopher. She doesn't talk to Steven anymore. Her friend's the one is like on her good side still because she cheated on her boyfriend with her. And then there's that. They're trying to figure out why that one girl is like so distant. Meanwhile, I forgot to say this whole thing. In the background of this whole entire book, the two twins that are like as dumb as rocks, the younger sisters, they apparently couldn't test well in school and like get into a nice college. So the mom set them up with like a cheating SAT scandal where some guy like took the test for them or like completely like biffed their results to get them in a good school. And a detective talked to Rachel, the older sister, the main character of the book. Of course, they had to go talk to Rachel. And they go, did you know that your mom, because the mom pressured Rachel into getting the two younger sisters like an internship at her job. And the guy goes, do you know that there's like a cheating scandal going on that your sisters are involved with? And like that your mom could like go to jail or be fined for like a crime that, you're involved in a cheating scandal. That's a pretty serious thing. She like lied about them getting into college. And Rachel confronts her mom about it. And I'm talking about it like so monotone because she confronts her mom about it and her mom just like denies it. She's like, no, honey, I couldn't have done that because those girls got the grades on their own and I would never have done anything like that. She plays so innocent. And in her head, Rachel is like, are you kidding me? Like, this is such a big deal. Why would you do that? Are you crazy? So your idea of giving us a great life is like committing crimes? What? And the mom just like completely blows her off and acts like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'll never tell you because I'll never tell anybody. I'm going to talk to that detective. Meanwhile, the dad's nowhere to be found. He's aloof. It just makes no sense. We're like, oh, so we're talking about a cheating scandal. This could be a whole nother book. But you're involved in a cheating scandal and your mom is not a great person. Okay. So in between when Christopher says that I love you thing, and she, like, Rachel yells at him and basically, like, tells him off. In between that and the end of the book where they finally make up and they finally, like, become a couple, what else happens? Rachel yells at him for not using any of his money for good. He doesn't donate it. He doesn't do anything with it. In the meantime, he starts like a non-for-profit charity about the arts or something for like the lower classes, the city kids. And she reads about it like in a newspaper or something. The cheating scandal for the SAT thing completely goes away, and somehow the girls. And also the mom has this whole fight with Rachel and puts it all on Rachel. Confesses to her that they don't even have enough money to like send the twins to college because the twins were like an accident or something. And Rachel's like, "How would I know any of that?" And she's like, "Exactly. Why would I tell you any of that? Like, your mom's supposed to like keep that from you." Or like, whatever. We've worked so hard to give you the opportunities. Like, I'm like, yo, those are real things that happen in real conversations people have. But what are we doing? So then Christopher's solution to all of that is to start like a non-profit for like a charity to put his money towards that, because Rachel told him that he was super selfish with his money, which we don't even know he does that. He seems like a very nice man. We don't know how much money he has. We don't know if he does do stuff like that. She basically like forces his hand to start a non-profit. Meanwhile, this whole time is not talking to Rachel. So he's all just doing all this stuff in the shadows, but somehow it keeps getting back to Rachel that he's doing these nice things. He somehow makes the cheating scandal go away. Christopher is so rich that he somehow gets the cheating scandal to go away. And he also pays for the twins to go to college. Full ride scholarships, like $200,000, if not more, was the number that was thrown around for them to go to college. So he pays for them to go to college. And then also, this whole time, right at the end of the book, Rachel sets up her sister Jane gets a promotion at work and becomes like a correspondent for like women's issues at the news station. And Rachel sets up a bachelorette party for her sister to go out on the town. And while they're out getting drunk, everyone goes home, and the last two people at the party are Jane and Rachel, and they're in the bathroom, and they're talking about this. This book happens during the Me Too movement. You know, when women were coming out and talking about horrible things that had happened to them, and were finally like standing up for themselves and using their voices, and their voices were being heard as a way of a movement to hold a lot of people accountable for their actions. And apparently there's some storyline in the book where someone was involved in the Me Too movement that they liked some man. I don't even know who it was. And her sister are super drunk in the bathroom of the bar during the bachelorette party. It sounds like I'm just saying a fucking Mad Lib. I'm just making up things that happen, like improv scenarios. No, they're at Jane's bachelorette party, and her and Rachel are so drunk, and they're only two left, and they're in the bathroom, and someone's videotaping them, making fun of the Me Too movement. Selling something like, you know what, I want to get into it. Making fun of it. And then that video gets published online, and Jane like loses her correspondence on camera job, and they push her back to like just a news reporter behind the scenes, because the company's like, that's super embarrassing that we just gave you a promotion about being like a women's empowerment movement person, news reporter, and that's the video that surfaces online of you drunk at your bachelorette party making fun of all that. Okay, so instead of firing her, they just like take away her promotion, and then Christopher makes that all go away. He gets the video taken away. And Rachel, while she's like working on herself, she somehow like writes a news story for her sister to then run with and publish and take credit for, where she like talks about how I think like the movement has like been exhausting and it's like messed with everyone's psyche. So it was okay for them to joke about it. I honestly, the ending of the book is so rushed. And if you're looking at me and you're like, this doesn't make any sense, it doesn't make any sense. They just like got away with that. Okay, so then what else happens? Christopher does all these things. Christopher's throwing his money around and all of his influence around, and like letting Rachel and her family get away with whatever they want. So Rachel is like slowly being like, I miss Christopher. I miss talking to him, even though we've never hung out. And he keeps doing such nice things for my family, like just giving us $400,000 and making sure my sister has a job. They make up. They have a family dinner. They're back where we started. They're at a family dinner at their own houses, respectively. And Christopher, the mom blows up on this Rachel once again. And Rachel storms off and is like standing on the front porch. And the mom is like, you ruined everything with Christopher. Why couldn't you have just been nice to Christopher? And he's like, he didn't even deserve that. The mom is taking Christopher's side. Can you believe that? And she goes on the porch to like cool off. And Christopher just like walks out of the shadows again. Walks out. He's always standing in the damn bushes. And he basically apologizes. Doesn't apologize for how he talked about Rachel, and like everything that she yelled at him for initially was like, I can't even believe you like just described my life, that like my family is like dysfunctional and I'm chaotic. He doesn't apologize for any of that. He just goes, I don't even know what he says. All I remember is that he didn't apologize for that. He's like, sorry, I just said it. I just blurted it out. I didn't say it in the right way and blah, blah, blah. She's like, yeah, I know you've been doing all that nice stuff. And he's like, yeah, sorry, I haven't been very generous with my money. What are we even talking about? And then what else happens? Something else happens right then and there. Oh, they just decide to be friends. So meanwhile, back to the group chat. Why has that one girl been like so distant from the group chat? Apparently that work party they went to at the very beginning where Rachel was dating that first guy, Steven. At that work party, her friend Sumira, it was her work party, met a guy there. Rachel says some offhanded comments like, oh, he's so young for you. And he's like, he's giving like intern vibes. And she was giving like, she's established at the company. And Rachel made some offhanded comments throughout the book being like, well, at least you're not hanging out with AJ or AJ or something. And apparently it turns out that the whole book, this girl Sumira has been dating AJ that she met at the company party. And they're engaged. And now the ending of the book is their wedding. And all of the girls in the group chat make up and they're like, oh my God, we're so sorry that we didn't make you feel comfortable enough to tell us that you were dating this guy. And sorry you had to do it all alone. And it was like, what the hell are we talking about? It just makes no sense. And frankly, I'm like tired of talking about it. So then Rachel and all the girls go to the wedding and they perform like a ceremonial dance, like a choreographed thing. And somehow Christopher is there again at the wedding. And why is that? Because Sumira invited him. Listen, your wedding is not the time just to be inviting everybody and anybody. Oh, the mailman. Oh, how about that one guy that's your neighbor, but he's really rich and you yelled at him, but then you guys made up and now you're just friends. I'm going to invite him to my wedding. Is that fine? Even though you guys didn't know I was getting married until 2 months ago, I'm going to invite him to the wedding. And she must have invited him last minute. So then they meet each other at the wedding and they're dating. And then the book ends. We don't even get to see them as a couple. That's it. I think literally the last line of the book is like, oh my gosh, you should bring me to your sister's wedding when she marries Owen. So your mom can see us as a couple. Well, the very last line of the book is just a dig at the mom about how crazy she is. The mom has no growth whatsoever in the book. None. She gets worse as a person. Rachel's all over the place. We're not rooting for her. By the end of the book, I'm like, girl, I don't care. And Christopher, the main love interest, the man we know nothing about. All we know is that he's rich. He gives somewhat good advice. And I honestly don't even know what he looks like. Besides the picture on the front of the book, I'm sure he has dark features and wears a lot of collared shirts. I have no idea what he looks like. That's the book. Here are my beefs, which I feel like I've talked about throughout already. These are just notes I wrote. I said, her POV and self-talk is so like borderline annoying and her lessons and character growth is constantly undermined by it. Like how she was like, I'm going to swear off men. I'm going to start this new chapter of my life. I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to turn my life around. I just ruined my sister's life when we were like mouthing off at the bar. And I feel like I'm a bad person and blah, blah. I need to get my life together. And she's like, I'm going to be vegan. And on top of that, I'm going to be vegan. And on top of that, I'm going to, save money. Oh, wait, the vegan thing didn't work out. Oh, and I did just drown myself in 3 bottles of wine the past night. Just constantly, like her own character growth is constantly being undermined, which that seems like a very real thing to happen. Anybody trying to change their life is going to have the up and down days some days where they're like, oh yeah, screw that diet. I'm going to buy a whole birthday sheet cake at the grocery store and eat it because I'm having a cheat day. But it's like, I don't know. It's almost like there's not enough pages in a book to truly follow a person's journey. So character growth and whatever needs to be like a very concentrated topic. They kept writing her character as in like, I'm just going to change my whole life and I'm going to be a whole new person, even though like every single thing's staying the same and I'm still the same person. I said this Rachel girl sounds really fun to be around. But she sounds very selfish. And that kept being brought up many times. I said one thing I did like about the book is like she's at work and the work gives her like these anonymous like prompts. Like, how do you like working? Or how do you feel about having coworkers? And it's like these anonymous replies. And she's like, I hate how the company makes us answer these questions every day. So she writes in these bullshit, sarcastic answers. And the company makes her go to therapy. And the only reason she like starts to have like breakthroughs is because she goes to therapy. And the therapist just like sits there and looks at her and lets her talk. And she's like, this is so awkward. So she just like keeps talking. I did like that about the book, that she had to go to therapy, but it also felt like we were just like going through the motions. Of course, like the character's going to go to therapy. Everyone goes to therapy nowadays, which is great. But it's like, what did that serve in this? I wrote things we know about Christopher because I couldn't think of anything I know about him. I said, we know he is rich. His love confession came out of nowhere. Like, why not just say that you like her? What is with this big exclamation of love? I honestly do not understand. It came out of the woodworks. He literally walked out of the woods and goes, I love you and you're dysfunctional and your family. Yeesh. I love them all. I love you. I've never even hung out with you. We're strangers. I don't even have your phone number. I've been swiping on all your Instagram stories. The confession of love came out of nowhere. And I didn't get it. And I don't like it. And it made no sense. his character, it's like, we don't even know anything about his character. And that little love thing made him take like 4 steps back. I was like, oh, and he has bad timing. And he's got these weird emotions for somebody he's never even hung out with. Creepy, kinda. Who are you? Okay, here's things I did like about the book. Moments I liked, because I don't really like any of the characters. I said her turning the I love you convo on him. That was really nice to see. I talked about it on the Sips and Spills. First, when I read his like speech, I was like, oh my gosh, like I love that he's just like sees her for who she is. Because I feel like that's relatable. I would love for someone to like just see me for who I am. What is that thing, like to be loved is to be seen? I love that sentiment. But not in this case. Because then as soon as she turned it around and was like, how dare you basically tell me that I am so flawed, that nobody wants to hear that. That is not a great feeling. That's my favorite moment of her as a character, is her turning that confession of feelings. It would be so easy if someone like just confessed how much they like you to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so flattered. This is so fun. I think you're cute, blah, blah, blah. For her to flip that all around and be like, stand up for herself and be like, no one wants to feel like I feel right now. Like I'm flattered, but I'm also like embarrassed. I kind of like that. So we're going to read that passage. This will be the only thing I read because I thought it was good. His part made no sense and her part made a lot of sense. And then I said what I disliked about this whole idea is that when he turned around and apologized at the very end of the book when they became friends again, he made no apologies about anything that she addressed here. He just apologized because he wasn't giving away enough of his money. Oh, for the love. I'm actually glad we're doing this because I need someone to talk to about this. Okay. He goes, could we sit? He gestured toward the cushioned sofa on the porch. Okay, I followed him and settled into the opposite corner of the sofa, keeping as much distance between us as possible. He flashed a nervous grin at me and then lowered his eyes to his lap, where his fingers were tented. I was filled with a rush of foreboding, though I couldn't fathom what he was about to say. What is this about? I asked. If it's about Stephen, you two should work that out on your own. Leave me out of it. Stephen? His expression became clouded. Are you two still? No, God, no. A radiant smile overtook his face. Good. Imagine someone hearing about how you got broken up with, and he goes, good. Excuse me, what? Good. Good. I'm so glad. Good, that makes this easier, because Rachel, he took a deep breath and with a sense of purpose raised his eyebrows to meet mine. I wanted to tell you that I think you're the most incredible woman I've ever met. You've only ran into her like 3 times. How would you know that? Also, not I hold no space. I give people making false, broadened accusations, confessions of feelings. I give that boat. I hope that boat never. I will not allow that boat to float. You know what I'm talking about? Him being like, I think you're the most incredible woman I've ever met. You guys have never hung out with each other. How could you make that claim? What are you making that claim based off of? You looking at her Instagram stories? There is no evidence to support that whatsoever. And we don't even believe that. We don't even think as the reader that she's that great of a person. The silence after this pronouncement clanged deafeningly in my ears. I blinked slowly. Christopher's smooth, freshly shaven cheeks flushed red. So many adjectives in that sentence. We know that he has a clean-shaven face. That's the second thing I learned about him besides that he's rich. He looked down at his hands again and smiled nervously and yet easily confident in the way only a wealthy, handsome white man could be. That was so unnecessary. It's almost like we forgot that he was white, so they had to throw it in there again. Oh, and forgot to tell you that he's white. You could just be like, as easily as confident as a business owner could be. As easily as confident as a man who knows no sacrifices in life. Whatever. Okay? It's the most amazing thing it's the most amazing thing. Meeting me is the most amazing thing. I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since the first night we met. And then every time I see you, you're doing something so ... insane. So startling. It's like you make me feel more alive than anyone I know. So what am I, a fucking puppet? Am I just here to like entertain you? What's the thing from Goodfellas? Joe Pesci in Goodfellas? When he says that. He's like, what do? I make you laugh? Like I'm a clown? Like I'm here to amuse you? I'm here to fucking amuse you like I'm a clown? That's exactly how this feels. This book is so closely tied to Goodfellas. And then every time I see you, you're doing the most something insane, so startling. It's like you make me feel more alive than anyone I know. You're not perfect, you're messy. And you don't try to be perfect like what most women do these days. You're impulsive. I've never seen you read a book. You've only met... Okay, when I read this the first time, I was reading it so fast, I think I skipped half of this. You're not perfect, you're messy. And you don't try to be perfect. Yeah, this is so rude. I've never seen you read a book. You've only seen her at like a holiday party on river tubing when she have a book made of waterproof material. You literally have only read into her like 3 times. I never see you read a book on your Instagram story. Shut up. Your family is bizarre and embarrassing. I don't even remember reading this. Your family is bizarre and embarrassing, but it doesn't matter. In fact, I like it. This is so rude. Everything about you is funny and is funny? Really? Because it feels like you're laughing at me, not laughing with me. It's not that kind of funny. Everything about you is funny and ... He broke off, running a hand through his damp hair. I'm butchering this. I'm a little nervous, but Rachel, he lurched forward and grabbed my cold hands. If someone lurched towards me after just calling me bizarre and messy, my fist would have lurched toward his throat, and I would have knocked his windpipe out of commission. What the fuck is this? I was so startled that I jerked my hands back and I sat on them. He let out a strained little laugh and continued. This sounds like she's been confronted by her stalker. It really does sound like that. I saw some people in the reviews being like, yeah, it sounds like he's like a stalker. It does. This is crazy and I've never done this before, but Rachel, I think I'm in love with you. Because my second thought was, wait, what the F just happened? And then parts of his speech came back to me with a slow motion replay. A fury bubbled up in my chest, warming me better than anything had in hours. Are you finished talking? Someone just said, I love you. She goes, are you done? He still had a pleasantly flustered and expectant look on his face. I kept my eyes on it without blinking so I would see the second it crumbled. Now that's a good little paragraph. Yes, he encouraged me to speak with an awkward, gallant wave of his hand. Oh, good. So is now the time when I'm supposed to fall into your arms? You're the good-looking millionaire and I'm the poor commoner you've taken a liking to, so that's how it's supposed to work, right? There it was. A spasm moved across his brow. His pupils dilated. His nostrils flared. Not so confident anymore. No, really, what did you think would happen? That I would be grateful that you're into me despite how embarrassing you think I am? He goes, I don't think you're... Let me stop you right there. You think I'm imperfect, messy, and oh yeah, insane. You think my family is bizarre and embarrassing. The color drained from his face as I spit the words back at him. Well, I'm sorry we're not prim and proper button-up wasps. No, you know what? I'm not sorry. At least we're interesting. Did you really think insulting my family was going to make me fall in love with you? And just because I don't name drop books or document everything I read on social media doesn't mean I don't read. Are you serious with that? I read 50 books last year. The books thing is such a weird side comment, but it's just like how you don't see somebody through social media. You don't see someone for all that they are. I didn't mean it. Came out all wrong. I'm not finished. I stood up and it felt good to tower over him despite the towel I had still had grasped around my waist. What kind of patriarchal fever dream led you to believe that proclaiming your love for me would work out well for you? When have I ever given you the impression that I was into you? Yeah, this is like halfway through the book and really, she really doesn't give him the time of day. They flirt and stuff, but she really doesn't spend that much time thinking about him. When did I ever give you the impression that I was into you? You know nothing about me except where my parents live and what I look like riding a bike naked. Oh yeah, there's a whole scene. The guy breaks up with her at a parade, and then she like joins part of the parade, and part of the parade is people riding on bikes naked. It made no sense. It's like reading a Mad Libs. It's just like, whatever happens, happens. You've probably never been with a Jewish girl before and thought, hey, there's my chance. Rachel, wait. No, Christopher, I will not wait. I haven't been waiting for a man to swoop in and change my life. And even if I was, there's no way I could ever be with someone like you. People who make millions and billions of dollars from what their corporations make me sick. Not to mention the way you date drop-dead gorgeous women like Zio and Andrea for a few weeks, then probably can't even remember their names after you switch them out for someone new. The couple times she ran into him, he was like with a different woman. But then he like explains that away. He's like, that one was like a first date, and that other one was a coworker. And the way you treated your best friend, friendship is the most important thing in the world to me, even if it weren't for all the other things I just listed. I can never be with someone who stole their best friend's idea and cheated him out of money. This should have been rightfully his. Christopher looks stunned now. His normally smiling mouth was slack, his brows lowered. I figured I'd more gotten my point across. So thank you for telling me you love me in the most insulting way possible. You've reaffirmed everything I thought about guys like you. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get out of these wet clothes and forget this day ever happened. And then she said, I'm taking the cookies. Goodbye. I forget at the end of the book, Christopher also admits that Steven guy, the first boyfriend, he did not steal his idea. They were going to do the company together, and Steven was like, no, I don't want to do that, and basically like gave him the right and the idea, and then he was successful, and then Steven came back to him later on and was like, can I borrow a bunch of money? I'm really in a bad way with a couple of guys, like a pyramid scheme. Of course, there's a pyramid scheme in this whole thing too. Christopher gave him a bunch of money, and then Tim and Steven have like never talked since. So that was a whole misunderstanding too, of course. Yeah, reading that back now, that was so rough. He literally calls her family bizarre and embarrassing, and her insane. I don't know why when I read that the first time I thought it was like kind of cute the way that he was like, I like you for who you are. He literally used so many bad words. Okay, I would like for someone to tell me that they like me the way that I am, but also like in the most complimentary, flattering way. To be like, I love that you prioritize like laughing something. I don't know. But there's a fine line, and he did not walk it correctly. Now that I read it back, I was like, I also was caught up in the like, oh my gosh, he likes her back. He's like professing that he likes her. And then I read it back now, and I was like, oh, it's literally worse than someone just like yelling insults at you, because he tried to spin it in like a good way. So there's that. Here's my dislikes. I've already hit on a bunch of these. We can wrap up this thing. I said they hit real life. The author hits these real life topics, but in such a weird ass way. They talk about the Me Too movement, but it's them acknowledging that this is around the time period of that, and that's them making fun of it and then getting away with making fun of it. They talk about cheating on exams, like that whole scandal, which was, it happens all the time, but like remember those two celebrities that like got in trouble for it? People who are like rich and famous and have money and celebrities do get their kids into school all the time. Of course they do. The wealth discrepancy is like a real thing. She throws that in his face to be like, you don't do enough with your money, and I hate people like you that have so much money. But then she has no problem with it when he pays for her sisters to go to college. She could have easily been like, you need to take that money back. That's not right. Interesting. Interesting. The morals of it all. The character development, the morals. I said her married friend cheating on her boyfriend. I said, what the fuck was that? Not even a paragraph of emotion. Not even mad at her friend. I hated that part. Really hated it. I said, we barely know Christopher. I said, what is there to like? That he is so poorly written about, I can't even tell you what he looks like. Even though I don't have the greatest memory of every single detail of the book, nothing that she wrote about stands out to me. I know everything I don't like about him. Mom is so mean to her and no one does anything. That's some like people's reality. We all know like of families where the mom is so overbearing and like so like her only life mission is to get all of her daughters married and to do it in any way possible. Even if it's like illegal and it's unethical and it's like she's yelling at her daughters. Like she doesn't even care if they're happy. She just wanted her daughter to marry that Christopher guy because she was rich. Didn't care what he was like. And she was like, Rachel, you better get your shit together so that he will marry you. And you're like, what is this? This feels very Pride and Prejudice of like back in the day when it was like, we have to marry off all the children before they turn 22 and they're old maids on the shelf of life that nobody wants to talk to. The mom says the most outlandish things to you, and I think I blacked out all of it because I was like, I don't know, if my mom talked to me like this at any dinner, I would never show up again. I don't know what to tell you. I said her mom yelling at her constantly is really hard to read. I just kept being like, is anyone going to say anything? I think the dad at one point goes like, that's enough to the mom. And then she stops. I'm like, oh, where have you been this whole time? Freaking aerospace engineer. And his own head is in space and he can't even engineer a better family. I don't know what's going on. And I said, my last dislike is that we never even see them date. I said, there's so many convos of them talking and running into each other. And then the book just ends. I said, why, bro? I don't even know how long the book is. All of this stuff happens like in the last 30 pages. It's so rushed, bro. And then I said, the characters have no depth. And then the book just ends on like a dead end. You're like, oh, so you guys are dating now? We don't even know if you guys work as a couple because we've never seen you be a couple a day in your life. A day in the book. Also, if your guys are so different, he's so rich and your family is so insane and bizarre, who's going to change? Are you going to stop being so bizarre and chaotic? Settle down and be a normal person like your mom wants you to so that Christopher will stay with you? And is he going to have any depth as a person? We don't even know if they would actually work together as a couple. We have no idea, and we never will. And then the book just ends. I just I don't give a shit about them at all. I said, this is not a romance book, and it's not particularly funny, so it's not a rom-com. It says on the side, there's a sticker that says romance that the library put on it. It says, opposites attract in this hilariously cheeky, laugh-out-loud romantic comedy about feeling stuck. The importance of friendship and learning to open your heart. Learning to open your heart? Really? Because the only thing Christopher learned how to do is open his wallet, ladies. And I said, at the end of the day, Rachel Weiss, the main character, her little group chat, she is the reason I would leave the group chat. She is the reason I would mute the group chat. She is the reason I would throw away my iPhone and go back to a landline. She is the reason I would block anybody from my Instagram story. That's my review of the book. I know it was harsh. I guess I had a lot more feelings about it than I thought I did. That's usually what happens. I would love for someone else to read this. I would love for you guys to read it and leave your comments down below. Maybe I missed a lot of things. Maybe you thought the book was great and you can argue that. I feel exhausted reading this book because the main character is exhausting. And I'm exhausted talking about it, so I gotta go. I'll see y'all later. This is my book review. It's not my normal content. Let me know if you like these book reviews. I do like yelling about stuff. That is kind of therapeutic in my own way. Oh, not only do I want a cup of coffee, I need a cup of coffee and I deserve a cup of coffee. 2.5 out of 5. Maybe only 2. Maybe a 1.5 stars out of 5. Final review.